vehicles. As Brandon mentioned this morning, covering all the crossovers, I'm definitely not bored right now. First of all, let me talk to you about ride quality. We'd like to start off with this here, for here in my section, because this is one of the big improvements that we have for our new Santa Fe. So how exactly is it that we're improving this ride quality in the new vehicle, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is torsional stiffness. And basically what that really means is how resistant the vehicle is to twisting, right? The more firm and more stiff a vehicle is in that twisting aspect, if you will, the more safe and secure the driver and the occupants feel when it's going down the road. Other ways we're doing this as well, the rear shock absorber has been made vertical, if you will, in the path of its travel. Anytime you can have suspension members travel in the same axis as the rest of the suspension components, the better you can isolate whatever inputs are coming in to the cabin itself. Additionally, as far as structural reinforcements go, we have more ring-type structures. Anytime you have a ring, the more firm and more contiguous that structure is going to be. So we have that here in the side panel, here in the B panel area, and also that in the tailgate opening. Last in the bottom right, you can see there, we also have a rear seat joint reinforcement. Instead of having a bar across the rear seat area, as you might with a sedan, for example, with a parcel shelf, you have this brace that goes underneath to strengthen that rear cabin area. And that's the way we're not changing or impacting any cargo area of the vehicle either. The next piece all this is going to be is refined handling, right? So structural improvements are great, but what about the other bits that we have in the vehicle, right? So suspension bushings have been improved quite a bit. Normally you figure if you want to firm up the vehicle, let's firm up some bushings and we'll send it down the road. Not so the case. And so what we've done with the engineering team here is we've changed the bushings. An example here is the G bushing, where the diameter of the bushing is a little bit smaller. The gap's been reduced as well. And the hardness, as you can see there, this is this category here, the show hardness, right? The higher the number, the stiffer bushing is going to be. We've actually softened it a little bit to give some of the compliancy and give for that front suspension member. Additional suspension here for the trailing arm bushing, change for that as well. Steering system, one of the things that we always want to improve is what a customer is touching, right? And for driving, we hope at least you're touching the steering wheel, right? So for that great steering feel, what we've done is we've improved the steering rack such that the ratio is a bit faster, but also the steering shaft, that we call the torsion bar. So the steering shaft goes all the way from the steering wheel down to the rack itself. The whole bar, the whole length, if you will, also quite a bit stiffer as well. Again, to have a very confident driving feeling, no matter what kind of situation you're in. Front suspension improvements, our front geometry has been changed quite a bit here. Reduces the rolling behavior, or vehicle rolling behavior is what we're really talking about. The front nut bolt, which is basically where the wheel meets the suspension member. Previously it was steel, weighed over 10 kilograms. Now we've changed that to aluminum, quite a bit lighter, and aluminum, of course, as you know, can be very strong. So very robust in that structural feeling there. The strut and insulator. Insulators are basically the rubber pucks above and below the spring, bushings in themselves, if you will. The purchase has been changed. Also, the welds for the suspension to the suspension shock itself has been changed as well, much more solid in that area. And lastly, of course, valving has been updated quite a bit for the front strut valve. When we talk about the rear, it kind of flows from the front to the rear as well, right? So we have an improved suspension structure that was shown in your top left there. This is the same type of learning that we had starting with our 2016 Tucson, right? Instead of one load path coming in through your suspension, you have two going through to the body. Anytime you can spread out more energy over a larger area for the energy dissipation, the better control you're going to have of the inputs coming into that section of the vehicle. Change in the rear toe area here with the assist arm. And basically what this does is add stability in the rear. What you don't want under a turning situation is to have that wheel toe out. Because when you have that feeling of towing out, it feels like the car in the rear is going out away from you a lot faster than you would normally expect. So what we've done here, we've controlled that dynamic such that when you turn in, it's very natural. The rear follows the front. It doesn't seem to get away from you or what we like to call over-rotate. Top right there, strengthen aluminum carrier mount. We don't call this a knuckle because it doesn't turn, of course, rear wheels are fixed. But this is where the rear wheels attach to the rear suspension. That area has also been changed from steel to aluminum. And another example of how we're lightweighting the vehicle and reducing the front mass. Lastly, additional bushings in the rear and optimize and change as well. Diameter change and the bulge type over here. Now, as far as insulation material, more is better, but to a certain point, of course. We don't want to throw a mattress at this whole thing, right? What we like to do is we like to talk about different insulators in different key strategic areas we've identified where sound comes in. So that way we're not adding additional weight to the car, and of course, the consumer, not too much additional cost. But examples of this would be a fender, apron insulator, dash insulator, additional insulation here in the tunnel, where you would imagine a lot of noise would come through from both the powertrain and the road. Floor undercover is changed also. Strategic places where we put additional damping pads, as you can see in the floor pan over here. And then the dash insulation pad has a variable thickness depending on which section of the firewall we're trying to isolate different noises. Additional foam throughout the vehicle where possible. Body holes are something that sometimes are unavoidable just due to the manufacturing processes in terms of welding the vehicle together. But what we've done is try to minimize that as much as possible to reduce ways sound can get into the cabin, for example. With other examples that we have here, my favorite I'd like to mention, of course, is more laminated glass. In the vehicles that are here today, you'll be able to notice that the car is very quiet, particularly in the front where we apply laminated side glass. So very quiet, very isolated, very premium kind of a driving experience. Now, speaking of driving, what's different about the front seats? I like to talk about variable density seats that we have in our new Santa Fe. But what that means is different areas of this front seats have different firmness levels, different density levels. For example, the green areas that you see up there, that's the main cushion, seat bottom, and most of the seat back, if you will. That's a medium level of firmness. The bolsters, of course, they are going to be the most firm because as you turn, you want to be held into your seat. But also that has a practical application as well, being that you're getting in and out of the car quite a bit. The more durability you have in that bolster, the better it is for your long-term wear. And lastly, the items that you're going to see in blue, the front cushion and the seat back upper, if you will, those are going to be the softest, and that improves the thigh pressure and back support. And speaking of the thigh pressure area, the power cushion extension, we've changed how it operates in a lot of our new Hyundai vehicles. Instead of just merely extending fore and aft and having what I call the cookie crumb catcher, if you will, this whole section just kind of scrolls forward, providing continuous support in your lower thigh area. Last bit on safety here, right? We are targeting NHTSA 5-star and IHS TSP+. And earlier I talked about continuous ring structures, and that helps not only for ride handling, but also here for safety, to minimize any intrusion into the cabin. And structures like this greatly increase the chance of doors opening easily after a side impact event, for example. Small overlap is something that was a big buzzword about 2, 3, 4 years ago. This applies, of course, for Santa Fe on both sides, avoids both sides. And then additional crash control channels for energy dissipation. Again, more channels you have, the more ways you can manage energy flow over time to protect your occupant. So this all flows into very, 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 very confident of NHTSA 5-star and IHS TSP+, and we should have an announcement coming in the next couple of weeks regarding that. Now, speaking of safety, we've been talking about a lot of passive safety, right? Structural improvements and whatnot. The next thing I like to talk about next is Hyundai Smart Sense. And you've been seeing this on a lot of our other vehicles, our other new vehicles, but as it applies here to our new Santa Fe, these are the 8 items that I want to point out. And these safety features are all standard that you see here. Not optional, not available in package. Every single Santa Fe sold in the United States will have these standard safety features. So the 2 most important ones, forward collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection. Our previous nomenclature for this was automatic emergency braking. The industry calls it autonomous emergency braking. Very important. You guys are familiar with this, of course. Vehicle comes to a stop if you're daydreaming, for example, right? Blind spot collision avoidance assist, not just a warning lamp anymore, but the vehicle helps pull you back in your own lane. So you have some assist by the vehicle and pulling you back in your lane should you try to merge into a lane that's already occupied by another vehicle. Very important, very key. This is an important ad for us to ensure that we have this for all of our Hyundai Santa Fe's. Lane keeping assist, same thing, not just a light anymore, helps you keep you into your own lane. Rear cross traffic collision avoidance. Before it was just a warning that would beep at you with the Santa Fe Sport. Now it actually applies braking pressure should you try to back into an aisle at the grocery store, parking lot, and a car's going by, for example, right? Safe exit assist is something that's really new, and I'll touch on that in a little bit more in detail. But basically what this does is, say you're parked against the curb, someone in the back seat's not really paying attention to cross traffic as they're getting out of the vehicle. This is intended to help those who aren't so observant, if you will. That way your door is not going to be damaged, or even worse yet, try to minimize any injuries to the rear occupant getting out of our Santa Fe. But more on that a little bit later. Great feature for us. It's a world's first. High beam assist, so automatic high beams basically. Smart cruise control will stop and go. A lot of other OEMs might have this. High up. We have it standard. So all of our Santa Fe's smart cruise control will stop and go. Lastly, driver attention warning keeps you monitoring how you're driving, how active you are, and tries to help you if you're dozing off, for example. So let's take a look at the advanced safety comparison. We're not shy in comparing ourselves against other competitors to see where we lie, right? Basically, the more black dots you have, the more standard features you have. This is our vehicle in blue here, Hyundai blue, of course. A lot of black dots, a lot of blues, right? And some of our other competitors have some black dots, but not that many, not nearly as much as we do. So again, all the features I mentioned earlier, standard features. The only one that you're going to see that is not is going to be your rear occupant alert. And that's also a Hyundai first, and for that feature, and also safe exit assist. Let me show you a short video.
The Santa Fe is loaded with safety technology, and there are two features that really stand out. The first is Safe Exit Assist, which is essentially blind spot monitoring for the rear doors. The system helps detect vehicles approaching from the rear, alerting the driver with an audible warning and a pop-up message in the cluster. Here's how it works.
Mom, we're gonna be late to the game. I know, we're almost there.
This parent is dropping off her daughter at the soccer game. She tries to open the door and can't because the child safety lock is enabled. So the mom has to disengage the child safety lock button. She inadvertently misses the approaching vehicle in her blind spot. So Safe Exit Assist takes over, preventing the driver from disabling the child safety lock system. Only when the area is clear will the system allow the driver to disengage the safety lock and allow the rear door to open. Now let's say the area was clear of approaching vehicles when the driver disengaged the child safety lock. But when the child is ready to open the door, an approaching vehicle is detected. Once the door is open, you'll hear a warning and a pop-up message will appear. The second safety feature is Rear Occupant Alert, which is included with SEL Plus and higher. Let's say this mom is driving home intently listening to the radio. She parks the car and, being the busy person she is, forgets that her dog is sleeping in the back. The first alert pops up on the center cluster, letting her know to check rear seats. Now let's say she ignores that warning. She exits the vehicle and locks the Santa Fe. Ultrasonic sensors take over and can detect movement in the rear seats for 24 hours. Now if movement is detected, the Santa Fe's horn will sound and lights will flash. A blue link push notification and text message will be sent to her smartphone. An email will also be sent, letting her know that the rear occupant alert has detected movement. These are just a couple of examples how the 2019 Santa Fe keeps you and your family safe.
Now, what I'd like to talk about is for the rear occupant alert. Other OEMs might have a similar system that's door logic based only. And as you saw in the video, we have that as well, but that is our first stage. The additional steps that we take are the addition of the ultrasonic sensor, and also, since we have our great Blue Link system, right, connected car system, we can send that information to your phone or email or text, what have you, however you have Blue Link set up, to further notify you there's something bad there. So we give that consumer that extra step, that extra peace of mind that our competitors don't have, and that's what makes it a world world's first for us. But all those features I've talked about, those are safety features. Those are safety features or features that we hope you never have to use, right? What are the features that we think that you actually will enjoy and use every day? Well, here's a partial list of some of the great features that we have in our Santa Fe. Heads-up display, for instance, is brand new to Santa Fe. It projects onto the glass, including things like speed, turn-by-turn directions, any of the safety sensors, blind spot example for collision. Those notifications will come up in the heads-up display as well. Wireless device charging, you'll notice that in the vehicles today, if you have a Qi-compatible smartphone, you'll be able to wirelessly charge that in the pad that we have in the cars out there. Other great features, I'm not going to read every one, that's a big list of course, and as Brandon mentioned, they're all under USB thumb drives, so you can peruse them later. But a lot of great features. And the two that I like a lot that aren't on this list, but Michael Bryan mentioned earlier, the cargo solutions that we have are fantastic, right? Before we had two handles you had to pull to drop the rear seats, now you just touch two buttons and the rear seats drop, for example. Very easy to use. And then the power liftgate that we have, hands-free smart liftgate. And I always like pointing this out because some of our competitors, they do have a power liftgate of some sort where you have to, wave your foot under, maybe it'll work, maybe keep them kicking the rear, maybe you break an ankle, I don't know. We don't have that issue here with our system. As long as it's within 3 feet of the rear of the Santa Fe for 3 seconds, the power liftgate will open for you, and that's what makes it smart for us. So infotainment, right? Very important these days, everyone's more and more connected. What kind of connectivity have we got? So in the vehicles that you see out here today, they're gonna have for you an 8-inch multimedia navigation system. It operates very quickly, and it's a very large display, very seamless. Includes a new favorites button. That's the star that you're gonna see right here. So if there's a certain feature you like to use a lot, you can tell the head unit or tell the navigation system exactly what you want to shortcut to. It could be your home address, it could be finding Starbucks, it could be your favorite station, what have you. You can program that button. Infinity Premium Audio continues to be a favorite of our consumers. It's very highly and heavily demanded. So not only have we increased application, and you can actually get them in cloth car now, which is great, but we also continue with the Quantum Logic surround sound and Clarify music restoration technology. What we're doing with Clarify here, with the folks here from Infinity, is anytime you have a compressed audio source, so say an MP3 for example, as a digital source, that's going to be inherently lossy. You're going to lose some details, particularly with the highs and vocals, sometimes down low, where some audio can be a little muddy. Clarify takes that source information and cleans it up and tries to restore the original fidelity of that song. So for those of you who are accustomed to listening to vinyl, a lot of that warmth comes back into your audio source. Great technology, and we have it here on a lot of our Santa Fe's, including the ones outside for you. I touched on BlueLink earlier. It is our next generation BlueLink. What more about BlueLink can we talk about? And of course, we always like to remind everyone that starting from 2018 model year, we have 3 years complimentary for remote care, remote access, and for those vehicles equipped with navigation system guidance as well. Our most popular feature is, well, remote starts. We wouldn't want the most popular feature to be stolen vehicle recovery, especially not for 12 million, right? That'd be terrible. In any case, you can set the HVAC or the temperature of your automatic temperature control system in that BlueLink app that we have for you. If you want to turn your front defroster on, important for you who might be coming from colder climates, and other items could be heated surfaces, such as a heated steering wheel, heated seats, things of that nature. In any case, these remote services are also available through Alexa. You can tell Alexa to turn your Hyundai Santa Fe on. Do the same thing through your Apple Watch or your Android Watch as well. So let's get more into detail about the trim strategy that we have for our new Santa Fe. To further streamline things, we no longer have packages, we no longer have options, or no longer have factory options. We always have accessories, of course. But notwithstanding those, we have 5 trims for you here. SE is our entry level, runs up through SEL Plus as our top level cloth model, if you will. Limited for Hyundai always means leather, so we have that there to include some of our more premium features. And almost all of the vehicles that are going to be out here for you today, of course, is the ultimate. Ultimate means everything, right? So we have everything out here for you guys today. So, two different engines that Mike O'Brien talked about earlier. Our standard engine is our 2.4 liter GDI engine, and that is included and available in any one of these trim levels from top to bottom. Our optional engine is our 2 liter turbocharged engine, as Mike talked to you about earlier, of course. It does have ISG, actually both engines have idle, stop, and go, and also our 8-speed automatic. And those two turbocharged engines are available on our limited and our ultimate trims. Again, a lot of detail up there. I'm not going to read every one. This is just a sampling of what's included in each of these key trims. Again, I come back to the base price that we have here at $25,500. While it is slightly higher than our old model's base price going in, I also mentioned earlier about Hyundai Smart Sense. We have a lot more safety features in our new Santa Fe to help, again, our customers and get that peace of mind. All these features that we have here, that we talked about earlier, Hyundai Smart Sense complete standard included in that $25,500. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It was available previously on our Santa Fe Sport. It's now 100% standard on our Santa Fe, which actually makes it for 19 model year, for Kona, Tucson, and for Santa Fe, 100% standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Santa Fe XL has already had that standard as well, so all our crossovers for 2019 standard equipment. In any case, SCL Plus is where you're going to find your rear occupant alert, that non-ankle braking, hands-free smart liftgate, cargo area release, the buttons I mentioned earlier, and Infinity Premium Audio Sound as a highlight. Limited adds leather, a very popular panoramic roof. Ultimate adds things such as your navigation, memory system for your driver's seat, heated rear seats, for example, heads-up display, very important fun features. So let's take a look at where we are and where we stack up against our competitors. Again, I'm not trying to show what our competitors are doing. Edge outlook concerns are there. We're quite a bit less expensive than them. And again, all those black dots mean we have a lot of standard safety features, a lot of features that our competitors don't have. One small little detail we hadn't talked about earlier is the number of USB outlets. Something so cheap always gets so much attention, right? We have 4 of them standard. Don't worry about it, we got you covered. 3 of them are charge only. One of them is combined data / charging port. Of course, that's the drive, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay for that connectivity. Or USB music if you'd like, for those who like to do that. And lastly, I always like to remind folks, our warranty continues to be the best in the industry. Colors, we have 9 exterior body colors, combined with 3 interior choices that are available. Now, Andrew, in our video earlier, I talked a little bit about the different materials that we have in our interior and how unique they are. Beige and gray isn't simply your normal beige or simple normal gray. We have a lot of two-tone elements going on in those beige and gray interiors, and that's again to drive a lot of interest. It's a new way of showing the different atmospheres that we have, and the atmospheres is the theme that our design staff really was trying to go after, right? So beige is more of an earthy theme, if you will. Gray is just more of a cool technology kind of theme. So if you have a chance, take a look into some of the other vehicles, maybe at lunch, for example, stick your head in, take a look. The high-end, the launch type headliner that Andrew mentioned earlier, it's not only on the headliner itself, it flows down the A, B, and C pillars, fabric wrapped. It's a very premium approach. A couple of colors that you might see today. Don't worry, these are not gold chrome packages. I'm not bringing the 90s back, don't worry. I'm just highlighting these here as dark chrome elements. You're going to find that with our black exterior color and our orange exterior colored vehicles, right? So some of these elements that you see here are going to be a darker chrome. It sets off and it pairs really nicely with those 2 exterior colors, and we agree with our design staff, and so we included that here with those 2 exterior colors. Enough about me talking. I've talked a lot today already. Distinctive styling, we covered that off quite well. Very unique, and it continues on our CUV styling themes. Very capable driving dynamics. I don't need to tell you more about that. You can experience that today. I think you're going to find it to be very quiet, very refined, and very enjoyable and relaxing type of driving experience. Safety features, I know I've talked a lot about that, but it is very important to us. You know, for me, being a new dad, for example, having a lot of safety features in a family vehicle like our new Santa Fe is going to be very, very important. And lastly, again, we're not talking about technology for the sake of technology. These are things that are going to help a commuter and consumers every single day. Human-focused technology and connectivity. With that said, I'll open it up to Q&A section.